Hi, this is Liqian Ren, Director of Modern Alpha Wisdom Tree ETFs. Welcome to China of Tomorrow podcast series, where we navigate China, India, Japan, and the broad emerging markets with members of Wisdom Tree and other industry leaders. Hi, this is Liqian Ren on November 27th, 2023, and hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and loved the holidays. Today we'll talk mainly the upcoming presidential election in Taiwan. Official date is January 13th, 2024. Ultimately, in the geopolitical, big power competition, US and China has a main say in, the future of Taiwan. But unfortunately, this might be a message difficult for people to take it. But also, Taiwanese people can influence the geopolitical landscape through some choices of their own, which I think, given the situation we've seen in Ukraine, the people in Ukraine, they have, their willingness to fight did influence some of the U.S. decisions, even though ultimately, U.S. and Russia and the bigger countries has, the biggest strings to pull. So in Taiwan, it's a three-way race, but ultimately mainly a two-way race between current party DPP, which is more pro-Taiwan independence, versus opposition KMT party, which is more pro-engagement with mainland China. So I'm going to go quickly into some background and also give my prediction, which I've already given in Twitter. So hopefully you'll enjoy. I know on mainland China, the housing market is still in a very cool, and the economy is also I would say cool, not collapsing, but lots of governments is also trying to think about what kind of things to what kind of policies there. I don't see major changes from our previous assessment. So back to Taiwan. A little bit history. There's really two main parties in Taiwan. The KMT party, which is in opposition right now, was a 100-year party supported by US, lost to the Communist Party, went to Taiwan in 1949. They also founded, the official Republic of China, which is Taiwan's official name. They have been losing the support of many Taiwanese people, I think 8 years ago, mainly because they were a little bit too closer to China mainland. However, on this presidential cycle, the DPP party, which has pro-Taiwan independence in its charters, which has mostly U.S. supported. U.S. has been switched from supporting KMT to DPP in the last several election cycles. They have been ensnared in a lot of corruption cases after 8 years, and also they have the majority in the Taiwanese Congress or legislature as well. So when a party has, absolute power in president and Congress, it's prone to corruption. So they've been in a lot of corruption cases. So the situation is that in the poll, 1 week ago when I made my prediction, and I predicted that the KMT party will get the poll numbers to be very close with DPP, which in yesterday and the day before, polls coming out now, and it's an official three race because the KMT party originally was hoping to make an alliance with the third party, which is the TPP party, which was really dominated by one person. The alliance, as I have, even though I think most of the Taiwanese people would like them to go in alliance, but the egos of the party chairman, Ko, he is not willing to be the VP
And at that time, the polls between KMT and TPP were very close. So I think he was making a huge gamble by not taking the deal. He actually signed an agreement to jointly go with one ticket with KMT, but backed out after 5 years. And this dramatic event last 2 weeks really hurt the third party, because essentially he's shown to be quite wavering in positions and trying to squeeze every advantage. And he was also trying to get Foxconn CEO Terry Go's financial support. Ultimately, that also didn't pan out, which on Twitter I was pretty early to say that I don't think the Terry Go has enough votes. So the background is obviously US, China, they are all going to try to influence. But for this cycle, the influence is not going to be the typical Chinese sending some rockets over Taiwan kind of influence. The influence is going to be much more subtle and more social media driven. So I think a couple of things to understand Taiwan's dynamics. First, each of the polls that came out is very ridiculously have a high confidence interval. That's for people in the US might be surprising, but Taiwanese polls, many of them are done by media that has a high bias toward their own party. So the confidence interval, even though they usually say 3%, from my own kind of data crunching, you need to put like a 4 or 5% band when you think about the polls in Taiwan. Secondly, to be able to do on the other hand, they have many, many polls because each party is trying to influence the election. So the advantage is that you have many polls, and if you can do a good correction of bias, there are some statistical techniques that you can use to correct the poll. You can actually get a reasonably close poll, and actually that's how I was kind of made my projection when I say the KMT party and the TPP party wouldn't be able to make an alliance. Essentially, the TPP party was, I think, almost convincing themselves that they were leading, but actually the numbers will suggest that they were mostly even within the statistical band, even with a very narrow band. So I think that this is a very big feature of Taiwan's presidential election. So if you know what numbers to use, you can actually extract a lot of information, but each piece of information has a lot of noise. Secondly, in Taiwan, one shortcoming of Taiwan's system is they don't have a runoff. So they only have if there are three main party or three main candidates registering, you can have a three-way race. If there are four, you can have a four-way race. So in this kind of system setup, the political instability is high because you can have somebody like the TPP party just came out of nowhere and then suddenly garner like 20% of the vote, then influence the vote counts of the other two parties. So that is probably something which I'm not sure whether people in Taiwan themselves one day will make a change. I know a lot of people do not like the US two-party system, but you have to admit the two-party system and using a winner takes all or using the final electoral college, all these little steps makes sure that the political system is relatively stable, even though, stability probably means that something people are tired of and don't like. But in Taiwan, it's the opposite. You have no runoff and you always have lots of people very ambitious, want to make a run, because Taiwan is relatively a smaller place, so you don't need significant money to make a presidential run in officially Republic of China in Taiwan. The third thing very interesting in Taiwan that's different from many other places is that their legislature has a two-track election system. So one track is, each region you have, fighting out between candidates who came from each party. But you also have parties itself is on the ballot, so that whichever party gets a proportion of the legislature people, given how much party votes that they garner. This is almost like not only the local senator of Democrat Party and Republican Party in the U.S. is on ballot. The party itself can be on the ballot, and it helps smaller parties actually have influence in the legislature. So that's another feature that's quite different from other places. So as of now, the DPP party, which their candidate is kind of boring, the current VP, and he's chosen the Republic of China, Taiwan's representative in the U.S. as his VP presidential kind of a election candidate, like partner. So she's her position obviously is close to the U.S. For the U.S., traditionally most people would say U.S. support DPP, even though DPP has pro-independence in their charters, and U.S. officially does not support Taiwan independence. But this election, U.S. has come out many times says U.S. is neutral. I think mainly because the party they supported, DPP, right now, is having such a low approval rating in Taiwan due to so many corruption cases that U.S. right now, at least on the table, does not want to be seen as favoring the traditional, favored party, DPP. For the KMT, obviously they came from mainland, and they are a party of many years of history, and they are much more on the One China platform. On the other hand, since it's been 70 years since 1949, so the new generation of candidates are, all of them are born in Taiwan. They are much more native if you think about their I think connections to mainland is definitely less. On the other hand, I think because, in Taiwan, like many places in southern China where I grew up, the family lineage records are kept very well, and also a lot of religious practices are very similar. So through a lot of these cultural connections, many people in Taiwan and the mainland still have quite, I would say, cultural affinity between each other. But I think that ultimately the candidates this time for the KMT party, their main candidate is, born in Taiwan. He's if you actually pay attention, he's Mandarin, which is the official Chinese language in Taiwan, is not. I mean, is good, but he's Taiwanese, which is essentially the dialect which is spoken in Taiwan and in Fujian, the province opposite to Taiwan, is much better. And so you can see that he is also grew up in southern Taiwan, which traditionally is the party, the power hold of the DPP, which is the pro-independence party. So there are a lot of these nuances of very interesting nuances of Taiwanese. If you think about almost like the North and South divide in the U.S. is used to be the mayor of Taipei, which is but the party has garnered significant support among the young people. That's why when I first started tweeting about Taiwanese election, I mentioned that the whole idea that Taiwanese young people support um, support the pro-independence. It's not supported by data. If you look at the data, most of Taiwanese young people want the de facto, and also does not support the DPP party, which supports independence more, which is pretty easy to understand. If there's a war in the next 5-10 years, the Taiwanese young people are going to have to go and fight. So they don't like KMT party that much either. So they have gone with the third party. So most of their voter base is the younger people. And I think TPP party probably overestimated how much of a broad appeal they have, and also it's very expensive to run a election, presidential election, even in Taiwan. So the poll is going to show that their voter share is no more than probably 25%. And we'll see, there's still close to 50 days until January 13th, 2024. So who's going to win? I think in terms of probability, right now it's probably a couple of days ago, I think people have this feeling that DPP can win easily, but I don't think so. And now the poll has shown that DPP and KMT is within 3% of the polling numbers. After some adjustment, the difference is much narrower now. I said on Twitter openly, I'm going to make long odds predictions that KMT could win with a very small margin, based on really two things. One is that my own internal little Excel spreadsheet shows that they are not behind in that much, even a week ago. And there's also big data that things you can kind of try to garner how positive and negative each candidate are viewed in Taiwan. And the third thing is, I think the KMT party is now out of power for 8 years, and everyone is, hoping to get back to power. So just that desire to win is going to give them a little bit nudge in the back. They also traditionally they are a party of infightings. So the DPP party is much more. There's actually a nickname like in Taiwan, like the DPP party is much more like the Communist Party in the mainland. The KMT party used to be like lots of infighting and lost elections because of infighting. But I think this one, they have some momentum, and also they really, really want to win after, being out of power for 8 years in both presidential election and congressional legislature election. So again, I know my prediction is a little bit lower odds prediction, but we'll see. And I'm willing to admit it wrong, and we'll continue to make a adjustment if I see significant evidence showing that DPP is pulling ahead. But so far, I haven't seen it. So that's my assessment in Taiwan. Again, I know that I got a lot of questions on Taiwan when we were looking at China. I've always told clients that within the 3-5 years, the odds of a war is really exaggerated by the media, particularly in English media. And also a lot of reporting on Taiwan is, I would say, not that accurate. For example, many media articles will say that the Taiwanese young support the independence, or that that the KMT and TPP is having the similar kind of resources, which KMT party, being the traditional Taiwanese party, definitely has significantly more party resources than a third party, which is much more based on one person charisma. So, and the DPP party has been traditionally known for organization. So obviously they can never be counted out, even though currently, the party is not in favor. I think at least 55 or 60% of Taiwanese has consistently, voted in a poll to say that they want the DPP party to get out of the power. Now they cannot, agree on which party should take the place. Should the KMT take the place or TPP take the place? But the sentiment of change is extremely strong, and that could be the wings that helps KMT quite a lot as well. Again, the final is not final until January 13th, and I always said I think the Taiwan conflict issue is a bit over exaggerated in terms of the risk. I think right now both US and China are too busy with other things on their plate to really, show the final cards on Taiwan. So I think obviously it's still very interesting, and for people who want to understand what's going on in China, Taiwan is always one of a hot button issue. It's also one of the top issue that when China and the US negotiates. So thank you again, and if you have any questions, please check out our website. On wisdomtree.com. For our strategies, you can check each strategy's details on each strategy detail on the website. All our podcast is also on the website, and you can also follow us. Me and my colleagues, we are mostly on Twitter as well. So we are happy to bring our reads and what I know this is a little bit divergent topic, but ultimately it's a topic people probably will be paying a lot of attention in the next month. Thank you, and hopefully we will continue to have a dialogue. Thanks.